Whether or not you're a fan of BMWs, the M3 is unquestionably an enthusiast car.
No question. And here's the thing. With a new 3 Series on the way, that means there's a new M3 coming, which means, here's the cool part. Both of these generations of the M3, you can find them for under 50 grand.
So should you get one? That's what we're here to find out.
This is the BMW E46 M3.
This is the third generation M3. When it first appeared on the market, I thought, please, I hope BMW didn't screw it up.
Honestly, I've seriously considered buying one of these M3s on more than one occasion. This has that metallic, organic machine feel that is steadily getting lost in cars. In 2005, they refined it a little further and they made a competition package which has a refined suspension and a tighter steering rack. But I don't drive this car and think, wow, I wish I had more steering feel. This really walks that line well between being a worthwhile freeway cruiser and when you get on a canyon, you can't outsmart this car.
Even on the freeway, you feel engaged, which is nice because so many cars have this dead center feel and you can't really feel what the car is doing. But this car is just, man, 5 espressos. Talk about a car that clears your head. This one clears your sinuses.
If you want to know what power steering should feel like, you should drive this M3.
It feels so nimble. It feels like a ballerina. It's like I could pirouette about any other car. It teaches you car control because you can feel every little undulation in the road.
Normally, when every little thing you do is transferred to the pavement, the car gets a little jittery. It kind of becomes hummingbird-like. This has none of the jittery feel, but yet all of the information that you're hoping for from the road.
What's interesting about this is this particular car was built in December of 2001, and it's got about 83,000 miles on it, but it still feels so sharp. It feels expensive. It feels high quality to me. Even though some of these materials have admittedly not aged very well, and
I'm surprised to find how some of the materials are really wearing quickly. I mean, the door handles on this car on both sides have bubbled terribly. And I like the interior on this M3 if you're not looking for any bells and whistles. If you actually start looking around, you realize it's pretty boring.
I like everything. It's angled towards the driver. It's not gimmicky. It's just all about the driving.
This M3 has very active gauges. When you first kick it on in the morning, you don't have as high a rev line as you do after the car warms up. And a good digital information screen. The graphics are dated, but it does tell you a lot of good info. And of course, you can't complain about BMW seats.
These are fantastic. It's a great place to spend a lot of time. And it still looks good. When I first saw this, I thought, okay, that's just a slightly tuned 3 Series. And that's okay, because what I like most about this car are the proportions. This is what the Germans do very, very well. I love the longer nose. I love the way the back end sits.
BMWs don't look sleek and long slung very often. They look like sedans. And this looks like a very sleek car. This is actually my favorite M3 in styling. It doesn't look dated yet, and it still looks small, sleek, and angry. And the Laguna Seca Blue has always been my favorite color on this car. But this gunmetal gray may as well be waxed primer. It's so boring. Granted, if what you want to do is go 90 and have cops not notice, maybe this is the perfect color.
This M3 makes 100 feel like 50. This engine is just this seamless rush of power. It just keeps pushing and pushing and spinning and spinning.
This engine is everything that's right with a BMW inline 6. It sounds fantastic. It revs like all its internals are made of silicone. This is such a smooth, slick, fast revving engine. It's a constant surge. It just keeps building toward redline.
This is what this car is all about.
a fantastic engine that is crippled by your interaction with it.
So this M3 has the SMG gearbox. This transmission feels to me like you're trying to teach your kid sister how to drive a stick. She's just not gonna get it.
Now, I understand if you commute a lot, the SMG does start to make a lot of sense, but it never shifts as smoothly or as certainly as you'd like it to.
The SMG is a transmission that asks you to pretty much have it floorboarded every time you're upshifting. Not everybody drives around like that.
Any kind of normal city driving that is not highly aggressive with really extreme RPM shifts, the SMG gets a little bit lost.
The transmission does something very well, and that's downshifts. So half the time I'm hating it and half the time I'm loving it.
Already, as I drive this car, I'm getting used to the SMG transmission. I still don't like it, but I am getting used to it.
POWs are kind of used to torture, but that doesn't mean it's okay.
The really bad news is that the reliability of it has really been kind of 50-50. The owner of this car feels like every time he turns around, the transmission light is on. You just don't want to see that.
So the moral of the story is, if you're gonna get this car, just get a manual. I'm amazed at how sharp this car is, and it still feels great.
I just like this car. There's no way around it. I would own one. There's no question. SMG nearly got me killed at the stoplight. Thank you.
So if you got this car with a manual transmission, I think you'd be really happy.
This M3 is worth its reputation, but the gearbox is not worth the trouble.